Hi everyone. If you teach a special area like computer science or STEM, you may find this helpful to you. I'm going to share some tools that I use in my classroom that go along perfectly with the 2DL framework from Dr. Matthews. And we're going to talk about some tools such as Jamboard, TinkerCAD, and Google Earth. Okay, so if we're looking at the framework, and of course this is all on your own time, daily, weekly, or whatever time frame you have, the first part is read, research, next explore, collaborate, apply, and then reflect. So I'm going to show you my favorite tools, or some of my favorite tools for each of these instructional models. So the first one for research, I really like News ELA because you can share that in your Google Classroom. You can change the reading level. You can also determine if that needs to be in a different language. You can go by grade level. And there are a lot of articles for a specific topic if you just search. So there's plenty there. And you can even create an assessment after the fact. The next one for exploring, I really like Google Earth. And for this unit, if you didn't notice, it is climate change for this interdisciplinary unit. And if we're looking at Google Earth, there are a lot of neat things. You can search for factories and other manufacturing in your area. You can then once you find a specific spot, you can measure within Google Earth from one spot to the next. And fun fact, Toyota is over a mile long. I live in Georgetown, so that's interesting to me. And then Google Earth also has its own climate change and other little tutorials that you can go through and view evidence based on a topic that you are researching. So if we're looking at Google's climate change tour, you can see evidence of differing changes within Earth. And so, for example, this was really interesting with regard to the beetle habitat and being able to flourish and attack trees in Colorado. And then sea level rising, and there's multiple others that you could assign to depending on what specifically you're wanting your students to look at. Okay, and then collaboration for the third part, I really like to use Jamboard, and I plan on using it this year for really getting students to talk to one another and collaborate on their thinking. It's kind of like just a big brainstorm session where they can add photos, they can add Post-its. You could even assign different colors for 2 to 3 students that are focusing on a specific part of climate change. For example, maybe they want to look at the Industrial Revolution, or 2 other students are really looking at how new technologies affect our environment, or maybe even how newer technologies can influence a better environment for habitats and our Earth and reducing climate change. The next one that is a little bit more tech intensive is TinkerCAD. And for application, I always think of creation and what can students lend for their creativity and how they can share those designs with you. So for this one, I thought it would be interesting for this multidisciplinary unit to be able to apply knowledge with TinkerCAD and design a 3D model of something that is sustainable. And in that, giving student choice with what they create and allowing them to really use their creativity to unleash their thinking. So for example, if a student is really into reducing waste, they may design a plateware set that is made from bamboo, so that is recyclable also and renewable. And if a student is really into architectural design, they may design a house with wind and solar power and really dive into those designs and getting down to using math and geometry involved in those things as well. So that's pulling in that math component for your multidisciplinary approach. So to get started with TinkerCAD, I always have my students click on the Learn tab and they complete the starter lessons. There's 6 total, and they can do those within a 30-minute time frame. And they're pretty easy, and there's YouTube videos for helping if they get stuck. And another neat thing about TinkerCAD is they can share their designs directly with you, or if they are part of your Google Classroom or part of your classroom on TinkerCAD rather, you can give them a code and they can just join your class and you can see their designs. You can even see when they last edited their design and if they are indeed working on it, or if it's been over a week since they've worked on their design. You can measure, you can enlarge and decrease size. You can create a lot of different designs here in TinkerCAD. So that really allows them to apply their background knowledge of our multidisciplinary unit, for using the example of climate change and how the factors affect climate change, but what can we do to design something better or improve upon something that reduces waste. So a question I might ask my students is, or a prompt to design something that shows that you are reducing, reusing, and recycling, all those things. And then share their thinking later on of how does your design meet those requirements. So again, to create a class in TinkerCAD, it's really easy. You just sign up and then create new class, and then you give your students the class code, and then they are joined and you see how many you have here. And you can click on them, and then I didn't show this example, but you can then click on whatever you named your class and it will show all of their names. And then once you see their names, you can then click on their name and then it shows you all of their work that they've been working on. And then finally, the last one, I chose Reflect with FlipGrid because you can really show off projects and you can see the student talking and reflecting and really engaging with what they have learned and being able to share their jumping off point with their designs and how they have created a product for you, because in most STEM classes you have a product that is part of your project-based learning, or you have a whole unit designed around a topic and you want your students to be able to really show off their learning and be able to give their voice to what their thinking was, why they designed what they did and how they designed it. Does it meet the requirements of the design? And what could they do in the future to improve upon it? So I think FlipGrid is a great way to do that. You can also create topics for the reflection. It's really easy. The first thing, you just create a topic and a prompt for them. So for example, mine was, does your design meet the requirements of reuse, reduce, and recycle, and how? So they would then share their thinking after joining with the join code here. They would just share their thinking, and all their classmates would be able to see it and see their video if you choose to do that, and then have them collaborate again on their reflection as well. So those are my top tools. So if we go back to our distance learning framework. To read and research, I use Newsela. To explore, I use Google Earth in this example for climate change. To collaborate, I used the Jamboard, and it's like a big brainstorming session. It is really easy. If you can create a doc, you can create a Jamboard and share that with other people to jam with you. And then for the application, we designed a 3D model with TinkerCAD. And then for reflection, we used FlipGrid to share a video and our thinking around our designs. Thanks.